All right, we're back and we're live for another episode of Creators Talking, our usual thing where we do a live stream at the end of the year talking about a particular topic in the entertainment industry. Last week, we all talked about video games and the state of the video game industry. This week, we're turning our eyes at comic books, crowdfunded and the mainstream. So, with me, of course, as before, is my favourite artist, Peter,
Hello.
and my favourite Wombat, Wombat.
Good morning.
So, we talked about on our previous streams, which feels like a lifetime ago now, about crowdfunded comics and in particular Comicsgate. And a while back, my views on Comicsgate was I was quite supportive of them because I wanted to see new things out there, and a lot of the mainstream stuff just wasn't for me anymore, or in some cases, it was pretty crap. We could go on forever about that. Comicsgate, since the last time we did a stream, has, in my opinion, gone off the rails. Books are consistently late, or in some cases, don't even turn up at all. There's infighting on social media, drama farming on YouTube, you name it. I believe there's even been doxings and swattings involved as well. I mean, before we go into some examples, what observations have you two made about this whole thing?
Just insert clown music here. Again, they've become everything that they've criticized. You're spending all your time on the internet and streaming, farming drama and fighting amongst yourselves rather than actually managing things properly and putting out really good content. There have been there's been a couple of people within that mob that have actually, put their heads down, and then the good thing is you don't hear from them because they're too busy actually doing the work. And putting out comics and stuff versus just fighting and throwing poop at each other on the internet. It's just it's just sad that it just devolved into that. It's just disappointing.
Oh, that's the exact word I'd use, because I can't remember the last time I backed something, but I remember what the last one that I backed was. We'll get to that in a minute. But Peter, what are your thoughts on this as the artist in the room?
Yeah, it just the whole thing just smacks of no one ever, like, all this time, so many of them never learned proper project management, proper scope, and sticking to said scope. And like you said, too much time squealing on the internet and carrying on like some of this shit. And like, how old are you people? You're not 15 in high school anymore. I'm pretty sure last I checked, you're not a bunch of like preteen girls. So really, you're grown fucking men. How about you start acting like it and stop carrying on with this petty bullshit? It's like, seriously, I saw that shit growing up when I was in school, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, the ones I should say that have always bothered me is when these guys have got comics out and they really should be getting on with them, but at the same time, you've got them sitting on YouTube with like 5 or 6 hour live streams, and I'm thinking, get off YouTube. Your book is late, or in some cases, very late, and get on with that. It's why I just don't back anything anymore from a handful of people within the CG movement.
Well, the thing is, what you've said it there. Clearly, they're making more money drama farming on YouTube than making actual comics.
Yeah.
So they're just using.
Not really.
But again, it's as long
In
as
comparison to what they've gotten for their books versus what they get from YouTube, it's just like, no, you're just feeding your narcissistic supply of attention versus getting the comic done.
Yeah.
Hence my point of project management, you have none. Discipline, you have none. And in some of them's case of, guys, you used to be industry people. You know how to knuckle down and get shit done in a timely manner.
Yeah, I mean,
like, clearly you need other people to be constantly breathing down your neck to do it.
Clearly they need an editor or a project manager to be cracking the whip. But the problem is that you can see, well, maybe there's a reason they're not working in the industry. This is the other problem. Is you're going, well, maybe there's a reason you're not working in this industry for, and it's not because of the rainbow hairs.
Yeah.
It's maybe that you genuinely have a problem with actually doing the work, and you just being that artistic prima donna.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sharing the first example here, which is obviously Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog 3. I had backed issue 2, and it doesn't show the numbers now on Indiegogo, but at the time it made something like $1.2 million before he eventually closed it. But it arrived, I'm going to say 3 years late. And by the time it arrived, I'd lost all interest in reading it, and it's still sitting in the very box it came in the corner of my room. It was so aggravating because that was when my frustrations really began to set in, because not only was he late with this, but he was also bringing in toys and statues to back. I don't know if he did the statue or not now I think about it, but the toys were definitely there. And this was a great case of scope creep, staying on YouTube too much, the drama farming on social media. And at the time this one finished, before it went into in demand, it hadn't even, I think it had made just over half of what issue 2 had made. It's crept up quite a bit now, but it was evident to me that a lot of people had gotten pissed off with his antics and not returned for book 3.
Even then, he's still £600,000. So it's, for Kangaroo Bucks, that's about 1.2 million. I'm like, yeah. Again, people need to. It's the same as the other crowd. Shut their wallets.
Yeah.
If they're, this is the thing. I'm like, yeah, he can, because he can drama farm and muck about and whatever else, because he's still got 1.2 million odd bucks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, here
he's just like, yeah, I'll get it out there eventually. And said that plus the super chats he gets off YouTube, etc. Like, yeah, no, again, he's clearly not hurting for money, so he's, he's just doing this. And he's spending more time feeding his narcissism and drama farming than, again, with people, it's like, regardless of stripe, if they're, you shouldn't be just, buying this stuff to own the libs, as it were. It's just like, no, if they're being bad actors, don't give them money.
Yeah, I mean, we're in December of 2024. And this is supposed to be book fulfillment month for this particular project, but well, it's not coming out. I mean, looking at some of these comments here, some of these, and there you go, refund request. It doesn't. There you go, second refund attempt, that one as well. I think people are starting to. Well, some of them are starting to clock on anyway, but obviously a lot of others had. And I'm so glad that I jumped off this train, but at the same time, I've got a load of comics that I'm never going to read, and I want to try and get rid of now because my love for this has just faded completely.
Yeah, I said it's disappointing and unfortunate. And again, in my field, it's just a little bit of project management and a little bit of discipline. They could be just cranking them out, but yeah, no, it's unfortunate that it's turned out like this.
Also, a catch with this as well. It's a case of what I said early on. You can't do a ongoing story as such when you're just starting out with these unless you can pump them out on a regular basis. And yeah, that's one example, but there's been others as well. It's a case of, okay, you had a success with the first, you got it out, you had struggles because it's your first time, that's fine. Then you took so long organizing your shit for the second one that people are going, it's been too long. I have to reread the first one to even know where I'm up to in this one.
Yep. I had to do that with, before we talk about this example, Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, because I backed the first 2 issues of the trilogy. Second issue took so long to come out that I had to reread the first to remember what happened. And issue 3 never materialized, as far as I'm aware.
And with the if you want to do the story arc stuff, fine, but you're gonna have to front load it, right? You're gonna have to have it all ready to go so you can just pump them out. So there's ways, if they want to do it, there's ways and means of managing that.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's gonna be a case of actually organize it properly and do it that way. But
yeah. Now, this one is a good example. Dan Frager bringing back Black Flag. This one was due September 21. And looking at the comments section for it, get a refund. So this, although he's actually responding to these. Um, Still waiting for it, even now. Although he is giving back refunds, I will give him that. But I fail to see how this one is so late, unless there's something I've missed here.
Well, again, it's like, emergencies, again, notwithstanding, it's okay. So, okay, if you've had a death in the family, or you've got chronically sick, or your house, got struck by lightning, burned down, and fell over, right? Even in project management, there's ways. If there's delays, are going to happen, but as long as you've got, it's a reasonable excuse, and you keep in good communication with your fandom, most are pretty understanding.
Mhm.
But with these guys, it's just like, no, it's just like, no explanation for the delays, or no reasonable explanation. Anyway, it's like, no, you just, and it's especially, when people can see you just, see them sitting on YouTube for 6 hours a day. I'm like, hey, that's 6 hours a day you could be using to actually produce the product, instead of just sitting there drama farming on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing, is people can say, no, we see what you're actually doing. It's, whatever excuse you make, is like, no, we see what you're actually doing. Is you're just sitting on YouTube drama farming because you're getting YouTube super chats and everything as well.
Mhm.
So, any explanation they give about delays just increasingly just feels like bullshit.
Mhm.
So, they're not doing themselves any favor in that regard either.
No.
Yeah.
And then you've
'Cause
got
I have seen at least 3 cases where it's something that was like big health issues, whatnot, that just reared up out of nowhere.
Mhm.
But the people kept people updated on that. And
And
I'm pretty sure
but
those
then,
ones in the end still managed to fulfill. And one case, the artist got so sick they basically had to go, yeah, we kind of having to start over because we've waited. He's tried to keep working. He's just that sick that we have to start over. So they were delayed, but they still scrambled and managed to put something out in the end.
Mhm.
and again, they weren't sitting on YouTube drama farming. So,
And for them, they freely said, like, this is gonna, like, yeah, we've done this one, we'll maybe try for another, but considering the absolute mess this turned into and all the money we had to chew up paying someone else to start over,
Mhm.
this may be our one and only.
Yeah. And then you got this one here, Gem Shock. This was one I backed, and this was due 2 years ago now. Now I will give Mandy Summers a little bit of a break because she was doxxed, and she has been doing semi-regular updates because I think she had to move because of the doxing. But again, it was 2 years ago, and this should have been done by now. And she has been pretty decent with her other books. But again, backers aren't happy. This one here, first update in 3 months. Am I going to get all of my books? Let's see. Posting another one here. Another year and still nothing delivered. And then there's me asking for my money back, but this was ignored. And when I was publicly critical of this on Twitter, I realized the next day she'd unfollowed me. So I thought, all right, suit yourself. But yeah.
Yeah, so she
Another
had an
one.
excuse, but she's proven she can fulfill
yeah,
the clause.
all right.
So
I'm actually going to counter that. Like, okay, you got docked, buy a 12 gauge and get over it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in the
Like,
States, you
also,
have
it's like-
access. You have access to firearms. Like, yeah, you've been doxed. Big deal, right? That's the thing. It's apart from the occasional exception, okay, you've been doxed. It's unfortunate. You get a little bit of bullshit thrown your way, but it's not like you absolutely have to pull up stumps and move. And I'm even then I'm like, yeah, I get it. That's unfortunate, but being that late, still no real excuse.
Yeah. And then
Right.
you've got this one, Deep Well, Caliber of Death. I backed this one. And this one was absolutely infuriating to me. Again, 2021, early 2021, supposed to have been delivered. And I'm going to go through some of the, it's a little while back, but first of all, it was a color problem, I think he said. And then it was an inking problem. I'm just checking now. And yeah, so then he says, hang on, so it's issue with colouring we found out. And then he was diagnosed with an eye condition, which again I sympathise with him on to a degree, but it's got too long now, and I got fed up with this, as I'm about to show you in the comments, because let's see, I'll go down. Yeah, so refund please, it's me, and he responds here. He's had to invest a ton of money in the project of his own money, he says. I weren't interested at that point.
Yeah, again, see, that's the thing. If you're then going, oh, pulling, I'm like, yep, just let me find the tiny violin.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay. I can say that's the thing. I'm like, right, let me invest the tiny violin.
Mm-hmm.
Find the tiny, it's like, yep, I'm sorry you've got an icon here.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, how much was this backed for? What was the total amount? Again, it kind of smacks of bad project management. Like, okay, well, there was a coloring problem. Yes, and we live in the 21st century. We have computers and Photoshop and very easy ways of correcting that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll read out the comment here that I posted, which was 3 months ago. I'm past the point of understanding. You aren't doing refunds, but you paid another artist to do a backup story for the comic. I think this was as an apology, which was a year ago, and still the comic isn't out. Because of examples like this, I'll be very reluctant to back other comics on here, and I hope Indiegogo's new terms and conditions on crowdfunding come down on you like an anvil. And the creator responds, yes, I paid him out of my own pocket to add more to the book as a thank you to the readers. I own all the problems.
See, again, in project management, I just want to point out that scope creep.
Yep.
And like, I haven't produced the original product, but I'm doing extra stuff. I'm like, no. Fuck the extra stuff off.
Yep.
Get your product out.
Yep.
Thank people with the proceeds you get from getting your product out.
Yeah.
Not, oh, well, I'm doing extra stuff to make. No. Again, that just pisses people off, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Right? Because you see this in project. It's just a rant of mine.
And he finishes off here. It is what it is, and I've apologized and I've been direct with you every step of the way. Have a good night. Now, him saying that at the end wound me up.
Yeah.
But I've just thought,
that's essentially shrugging his shoulders, going, right? It's just like, again, you can be apologize and be all you like, no, just get the fucking thing done, or give me my money back, right?
Yeah.
That to me, I don't blame you, because I said it. That to me amounts to shoulder shrugging, and just it's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I want you to give me my bloody money back is what I want. Well, no, money's gone. So
yeah. And then there's this one here. Are we getting close to at least a digital copy on this? He replies, yes, absolutely. I jumped the gun by promising by Halloween, but digital will be out for the holidays. It's not. Long story short, it's the third time the book has been colored, and I'm handling it myself. I don't understand how that is.
Yeah, see, again, that I do, having actually worked with creatives.
Okay.
Justin.
Yeah.
Because they sometimes need someone to smack them on the nose and go, no, it's fine. Stop obsessing over it. Right? If the fact he's colored it 3 times means that he's being fussy.
Yeah.
Right? He's fussing over it like, oh, the color's not quite. I'm like, no, dude. Again, if you're focusing on that small detail, right, the fans aren't going to mind. Right? Again, you're overthinking it. Right? So sometimes these people just need someone around to go, no, that's it. It's fine. Stop it.
Yeah.
Right? Stop fussing. Because he sounds like he's fussing, and I'm like, no, just put it out. Be done with it. Right? Again, every day you delay it now, it's just pissing people off. Stop fussing over it.
Yeah, and then we got this one, the Dragon Guard. This was another one I backed. Due October of 2020. And to go to updates, the last one he gave was October this year. I'm almost lost for words on this one of how late it is. Again, he has claimed medical problems, which to a degree I will understand, but at this point now, I'm past the point of caring. I'm just going through.
Again, I'm like, okay, medical problems. We've all got medical problems, right?
So
and
here I am again. Refund. This delay is beyond the joke. He ignored me.
Yep.
So books like this and Deepwell, when they arrive, I'm probably not even going to bother reading them if and when they actually arrive, because
Assuming they arrive. Yeah.
assuming they arrive, and because I've just had enough now. And again, it's going. There's I'll get to that part in a minute, but this one really has wound me up because I've asked for a refund twice, and unlike the other guy who at least answered me, he's not. He's not even answered me once. So I'll stop sharing that. But then this next example I'll give is probably one that's wound a lot of people up, and for very good reason. And that is Sovereign. Now, I backed this, but it was only the digital copy because at the time, what he was asking for a copy, I mean, see if they're here, $50 US, and it was about, I'm going to say 30 for shipping, I think. And he gave his last update, which was August 2023, and he's colored and done a page, which I'll be honest does look nice, but it's never been fulfilled. It's never been. That was the first update. Let's see, that's 2023. Before that, it was 2022, and there's this one. And after that, it's literally an update a year, and nothing has ever come of this. And if you go to the comments section, I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's unfortunate. And again, it sounds like a lot of these people need a project manager or an editor or someone just to be able to, patrol them and just go, nope, stop fussing, because this seems to be a
Look at this one here. I hope you die of AIDS.
Okay, that's a little hard.
Yeah.
That's a little harsh, right? To tone it back, walk it back a bit.
And
no, a lot of them. Again, a lot of them, they're fussing. Like you see this a lot with artistic stuff. They fuss, and it's just they obsess over little details. And it never gets released. Right, and clearly said they need someone to. Yeah.
And obviously, a load of people agreed with what I said, because to me, this was a scam. I honestly think it was. And if you look at what he raised, that was 40 grand US. He's run off with. And that one
with exchange rates closer to 60.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah. Interesting notes in the image there. No refunds, all sales final.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue, a sale would imply that you were to deliver a product. You have not delivered a product, ergo give me my money back. Right?
And things like that only people put down when it's a case of you're selling an existing product. Not like sales only count for if you've got an existing product you're trying to clear. Not for something that does not exist yet.
Yeah, that's something you see in a second, buying goods on a secondhand website, right? As is all sales final, right? And like, no, and the thing is, like, no, I would still go refund, because it's like, again, that implies that something was actually delivered. It's like, I've taken your money, great, you haven't delivered anything. Ergo, the sale has not been completed. Ergo, fuck you, pay me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that implies there was an actual product to be had. There is no product.
Now, there are some that I will still back out there in Comicsgate. For example, Von Klaus's work. I love that. The Mary Boys from Carl Chubb. I absolutely adore those books. I think they're brilliant. And there's one chap who I should mention. It's outside of the whole thing as far as I'm aware. He comments occasionally, but he does get on with it. And that is where is it? Yeah, H. Wayne Despair and his project, The Mythicals. Now, these are small comics, about, as he says there, count up to 28 pages. They're low cost, and he gets them out on time. The first issue is the first crowdfunded book that I ever received on time. And
and again, that's someone managing things properly. Hey, you're doing it in small, manageable chunks. You're sticking to a schedule, and you're producing the quality that people like.
Yeah.
So,
and as you can see here, he's raised a shit ton of money massively over goal for what he needed, and he gets them out on time. And as you can see here, for the Mythicals 3, $10.
That's because
but again, Yeah, he's doing it. He's being professional. He's doing it properly. Right.
So people like him, I will absolutely back his work, because he does occasionally comment on the stuff out there, but because he's the writer, he's well ahead of the curve, I think, and the artists he uses is pretty damn good as well. Now, we were going to sort of move on to other stuff, other crowdfunding stuff, but I got made aware of something this week, which absolutely blew my mind. And so, does anyone remember the Brightwisers and the fuss that was kicked up with Red Rooster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, the Red Rooster book, the creators, Mitch and Elizabeth Brightwiser, they cut a deal that appeared in Walmart in issue format and not the graphic novel it was supposed to be. And this pissed off a lot of their fans. They would eventually get their books much later, but they decided to put some other products through Walmart and continue new campaigns, effectively going off the grid from what I've been told. And they have put some more books out. This was the first one, I believe, Saints 2 Awakening, through their company Allegiance Arts. Due out July this year, apparently not materialized. And looking at the updates, no, it's last year, beg your pardon. And March this year is their last update, 9 months ago. And yeah, they can't give a precise timeline, but our goal is June. By the looks of things, that never happened. And the discussions here, happy Crooksmas. Another month gone by, you fucking crooks. Not pretty. And yeah, it appears that I think a lot of people have had enough. Even Indiegogo won't close the campaign. They basically stealing for months now. Fuck these people. Book shipping, not trolling, but refer to definitive answer. By the way, a little myth: the book is in demand.
Yep. Well, the thing is, at this point, they were a known quantity. So if people gave them money, unfortunately, guys, after that Walmart thing, you shouldn't have given them a cent, right? So at that point, I'm just like, not a lot of sympathy for the backers at that point, because yeah, they've proven to be bad actors, and if you give them money, well, don't be shocked when they just run off with it.
Yeah. And then you've got this one here, Bass Reeves, which is another one through their company. Estimated shipping February 2023. Looking at the updates again, March this year as the last one. And discussions. I'm back this book in October 2022. I'm beyond losing patience for this to print.
Yep. These people just assume that your money is gone and you're not going to get the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And just take it as a learning experience and do not give these bad actors any more money.
Especially when they've already run off the money once and screwed people over by what they did with the whole, we'll put it in Walmart first before our backers even get so much as a look at it.
Yeah.
That should have been your massive, projected from freaking Pluto red flag to not back anything from these people ever again and make them stand on their own laurels and go, okay, fine, you want to be in stores first before you follow your backers? Okay, then. You're going to put in stores first and I'll buy it from there. Because apparently you don't. Oh, you shouldn't need my funding now that you've got all these deals with stores, right?
Yeah, and it's an absolute shame because from what streams I saw of the Brightwisers, they did appear to be decent people.
Yeah, appear. There's the key word, appear. But unfortunately, some people can put on a very good mask when they're trying to con you.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it is a real shame. But, well, it's... yeah, it's a massive letdown. And I would advise anyone backing a project, I would take a proper look at whoever is behind it before going into it. And I hate saying that, but it's where we are now. But having said that, there has been trouble with crowdfunding in well, outside of the independents, and this was one I also backed. I didn't realize they're out of, apparently, according to Dale in the chats, Allegiance Arts is out of business. Well, that's especially bad given that they've got people's money in their bank. But yeah,
How
anyway,
convenient.
yeah. And then there's the obviously about to say is this one dynamic. Bleh, sorry, I'm losing my words. Dynamite's Terminator graphic novels, because they now have the rights to the IP and have launched the series, which we'll get into in a minute. But they crowdfunded these graphic novels, achieving well over their goal, as you can see. And I back these, as I said, because you can either get the soft cover, the hardcover editions, which I backed, or the metal jacket hardcovers. And as you can see there, there's some nice art on them. And with the metal ones, you got a metal slipcase. And after a lot of questions, they eventually did a bonus hardcover slipcase for the hardcover editions. But then problems arose when they weren't answering questions or comments in the community, which I'll go to here. They've since started addressing them, because according to one of the comments, I don't know where it is, but yeah, the community manager was let go, and they have got someone who's a bit more on the ball now. But then came a problem where I will find it here. Yeah, metal slip cases and the metal covers. They realized that they weren't able to do them anymore because the printer said, yeah, we can't do that. So they are now shipping them with what's called a faux metal cover and case, which I find particularly bizarre, but at the same time, I'm so glad I didn't back those versions.
Yeah, and again, smacks of bad management. It's as if they should have asked the printer, "Hey, are you able to do this?" Right, rather than before they're promising it. With that, just smacks of, "Oh, we'll do." Mate. They say assumptions. They've made an assumption that is still a thing, and the printers have just got, "No, we don't do those anymore. No one does."
That bothers me a lot.
As someone who used to work in printing stuff, from small to quite big stuff, that's shit you touch ground with your potential printer before you even so much as make a squeak to anybody else.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that the postage charges for such heavy books have to be astronomical at this point.
Oh yeah, I've also had to manage like mailing shit out and couriers and whatnot, and the heavier shit gets, you watch that that ticker for the price, it skyrocket.
Yeah. But then on to another Dynamite project, which would, as the time of this stream is still going, is 30th anniversary of Thundercats, because again they've got the rights to these and have got hold of the long out of print comic books and remastered them either in let's see, 2 trade paperbacks or 1 oversized hardcover. And looking at it, 16 days left, just under a 20 grand goal, and they've gone over 100,000. I really hope, looking at it, this will be it'll have a lot less troubles going through. But since they haven't done anything like a metal cover, you got hard covers, and looks like that's it. They should be okay with this one. But so far,
not to mention, and not to mention, if it's just a remaster, which is essentially just color correction and fixing up a few bits and pieces, right? That should be extremely low overhead.
Yes.
So there should be absolutely no excuse, no reason, and in theory, no real delays apart, unless their printer explodes.
Yeah.
It's so there should be no excuses.
Yeah.
For that, right? Especially if you said remasters, a specialist. Like, you're not having to do you're literally just doing color correction and a bit of cleanup. That's it, right? You should be able to knock that over in a few months.
So I sincerely hope that one does pretty well for them, because a lot of people liked Thundercats. I remember watching that on TV as a kid. We shall now move forward with the mainstream stuff. And before we get into it, there's something I should point out for those listening. Now, a long time ago, when we used to talk about the comic books, we'd talk about their sales because, well, a lot of these, as you probably guessed, didn't do so well sales wise. In fact, we talked about it a lot, didn't we? Especially with sales of like Captain Marvel and so forth. Do you remember? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the sales site that I always used to source for my numbers was this one, Comicron, and for a while now, I don't remember where they started it, but they don't show the sales figures anymore.
Yeah, again, the industry's just gone
Hey,
shit,
that-
shit, shit. Hide the numbers. Shit, shit, shit.
This is obviously October's from this year,
Mm.
but the thing is, if I click on this link to see more at, and I'll just show you here,
Mm.
I click on it, it goes to that. Maybe can you see this?
Nope.
All right, I'll stop sharing. And I love DJing. Yeah, it comes up with this.
Yeah, okay, that's just Origin U
yeah,
block. No,
that's
no,
just
hang on.
Origin.
That's yeah. So just go proceed, right?
That's just you've got Origin to being careful. So,
Mm.
but it also says you need to check your coding.
Yeah, and this is what it brings me up to.
Yeah, so it doesn't actually give you sales numbers. It just gives you the example of
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't know what the sales numbers
No,
are
because
anymore.
the industry won't be publishing sales numbers anymore because they'll be, to be perfectly frank, fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think they were getting their shit pushed in. Because back when we did our last cast, they were getting their shit absolutely pushed in by manga, and then the number comparison was just utterly embarrassing.
Yeah.
They were getting mogged. So
And also, they were having more and more actual comic book store owners stepping up and going, "The fuck? Why
Yeah.
are you lumping us with this shit that we didn't ask for, or twice as many as we ordered? We can't sell this shit."
So we'll go into the mainstream stuff now, and well, the ones that are worth mentioning anyway. And there are going to be a couple of themes running throughout these mentions. See if you can spot them by the end. And the first one to talk about is the Ultimates line from Marvel. There's quite a few, but the one to talk about the most is Ultimate Spider-Man. And obviously written by Jonathan Hickman, who is quite well known in the industry at this point. He is a damn good writer. And in this new world, in the separate Marvel universe.
Let me guess, Mary Jane cucks Spider-Man again.
No. In this new world, I think it's the Beyonder or something like that. He's created it so that none of the people became their superheroes in their respective in this respective universe. They all led regular lives. Peter Parker and Mary Jane are married, and they have 2 children. And yes, Mary Jane is drawn hot in this book. And by the end,
right,
and Peter Parker is contacted by Tony Stark from another universe and given his powers to become Spider-Man because Stark is trying to undo what's been done. And it gets off to a bit of a slow start, but it is a damn good read. And the first issue sold out almost instantly once people found out what was going on.
Yeah, again, so the market's out there. People actually want this stuff. It's just that as soon as they realize it's not the woke crowd writing it, and it's actually good, yeah, they'll absolutely snap it up.
Yeah, and the story again, it moves at a gradual pace, and it is very good. I mean, in this one, he's best friends with Harry Osborn, who he sort of goes around fighting crime with, and Harry Osborn is married to Gwen Stacy, and I just thought that's really good. But then you get to the downside of this. 32 variant covers for issue 1.
There it is.
And an average of 7 variants for the other 12 issues so far. Now, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's also worth pointing out that Jonathan Hickman apparently was contracted to the first 12 issues of the Ultimate Spider-Man. I finished issue 12. It ends on an intriguing note, but I'm now worried of who's going to take over if they don't renegotiate his contract.
Yeah, it'll be a case of just see who's writing there. Yeah, because this always seems to be the bait and switch, is that they'll get someone in to do it, it'll get popular because it's not one of the wide crowd.
Mm.
And then once it's popular, they'll get someone else in it to take it over who genuinely has rainbow hair and terrible opinions, and it just goes off a cliff. So again, we'll
It
just have to wait
actively
and
hates the
see,
readers.
Yeah.
who actually takes over writing.
Mm.
But that one's a perfect example of white selling, because that's what people want. It's like they want normal, wholesome fucking relationships.
Yeah.
No, healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm. And then this is the one that I take a little bit of a chuckle in because of what happened with this, and that was the relaunch of The Punisher.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and what they did.
Now I see it.
Yeah.
Look what they did to my boy.
Yeah.
They did
Now-
to my boy.
Yeah, exactly. Because me personally, I was a massive fan of the old school Punisher. A friend of mine who used to live down the road from where I lived, he was such an avid fan of it. He had every Punisher book and every Punisher book that the guy appeared in. And it was the golden days of comics as far as I'm concerned. But then Jason Aaron comes along, has the Punisher recruited by the Hand, his dead wife brought back to life, who chastises him for doing what he's done, sells all his stuff, fucks off with the money, and Frank gets banished to another world, another planet, another realm, I don't know. And it just it felt like it undone all the stories that the Punisher had done.
Case in point.
Yeah. Because
of people wanting normal, healthy relationships, or in his case, like, yes, he had a loving wife and kids, and that's what drove him off the edge and drove him to become the Punisher. With this, it's like, so she was a cunt the entire fucking time.
Yeah, well, didn't we talk about this a long time ago? Because I'm pretty sure you said to me, Peter, that there were women that you knew that liked the whole romanticism of the Punisher. You have killed my beloved, therefore I will kill you and everything you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, I will avenge. Yeah, I will avenge my lost wife. You know,
Yeah, that's what I mean about the healthy relationship thing. It's a case of, yes, they had a healthy, loving relationship. Yes, they may not even be perfect. That's even better.
Mm-hmm.
But then shit's happened. He's been left in the dust, and he's basically gone, you know what? You took everything from me. Fuck everything around, like you and everything near you.
Mm-hmm.
The romanticism of, oh, he loved her so much, he's willing to burn the earth down and ruin himself just as a whole, make others suffer as much as he has from losing them.
Mm-hmm.
I will avenge my waifu. Right? It's like, yeah, he just said it's, that has been that's been a staple of those sort of romantic stories have existed for eons. So
and all the drama that comes around that, for watching this person go, okay, so how deep down that rabbit hole are you going? When's your point? You're going to hit bottom and you're going to start clawing up, if ever.
Yeah. Now, what obviously made people cringe about this was this new Punisher, as you see on the screen, and how light it seemed to be with regards to how the character was portrayed. And the funny thing was, it was cancelled after 4 issues.
Yep, because they've looked at the sales numbers and gone, literally no one's buying this. That's why they would have taken. Yeah,
and to the fans, and even just in the character in general, it's basically like they've cocked their leg and take a giant piss and sloppy shit all over everything, squeezed it between 2 pieces of paper, and then handed it to fans or anyone of any interest in comics and going, here, read this. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you reading your piss and shit-filled book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, this is written by someone who hates the fans,
mm-hmm.
right? And again, people, because I remember there was exchanges with a writer on Twitter, and he was very much one of those, you have incorrect opinions, I'm going to,
Yes, he was blocking people.
Yeah, but he was also doing the whole, and people just going, gee, I wonder why this Punisher is not as harsh on. Again, one of the staples of the old Punisher was just like, oh, you're a pedo, oh, you're going to die in horrible, horrible way.
Mm-hmm.
Versus people going, gee, you seem to be going awfully light on pedos there. I wonder why, ... Yeah, he'd block them. It was just, again, it was one of those ones of the Marvel deliberately hired someone who didn't like the fans because they wanted to chase the quote-unquote modern audience, which doesn't exist, and they were summarily punished for it. So, fuck them.
So,
they just keep hiring these people, just like the games industry. It's just like, you absolutely hate the medium and anyone associated with it. oh, whoa, shit, why isn't this selling? I wonder fucking why.
And that's a shame because Marvel obviously have done the thing. I think they killed Death or some bullshit like that. With it was DC with Superman, and obviously I would have liked to have seen Frank Castle brought back somehow, but unfortunately, it's just
Not like that.
That would require writers who had a room level IQ. And didn't hate their fan base. That's the thing. You can literally do anything if you're a skilled enough writer. You can find a contrivance to bring them back. But yeah, skilled writers don't get hired for mainstream comics anymore.
Yeah. Or you can just do the whole thing of I'm just going to start again. It's just like pretty much same origin story, whatnot. But considering how much everything else has been burned to the ground and ruined, I'm just going to start from zero. Like same story, but I'm just going, I'm same story. I'm springboarding from the same story to write new, better stuff like that used to be.
You said, just off the top of my head, you could do essentially a torch passing one where you've had someone who's lost their loved ones in a similar way to Frank, but Frank's got to the point now where he's just too old and damaged to keep going, and he's like, okay, I can see this guy is going to go off the deep end. Let's not just turn him into a school shooter. Let's turn him into help him focus his anger, as it were.
Yeah.
Right. And again, because they've done that successfully with old school Batman and Batman Beyond, where in Batman Beyond, you had Bruce Wayne, who is now, he's pretty much old and had it. He knows he's past it, and he's passing the torch and he's sort of helping someone else do it. Right. You could do that with Frank Castle. You can go, great, I'm going to give you access to weapons, resources, and my lifetime of skill and training and special forces and the rest of it. And I'm going to help you, avenge your loved ones because I sympathize with what you're going through. Right? And you could do probably write some good stories based on that. But again, that would require, writers with a functional IQ who didn't hate their audience.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's like, I can see the pain yourself is the same as me. I see you've got the talent to do what I did. You just need the right nudge to go the right direction and not go off the deep end and turn into basically a mass murdering horror, but actually direct that drive to people who deserve it.
So obviously, like I said, 4 issues, but it also had 11 variant covers throughout those issues. I don't know what they sold, obviously. But then we moved to DC, and usually I wouldn't give a flying one about DC because there's stuff that they've brought out that I've just not given a toss about because I never found DC that interesting. Well, they did their Absolute series, and the one that's got to be paid attention to the most is Absolute Batman. And I had heard good things about it, primarily because of the art, because the artist...
Yeah, funnily enough, I just watched a thing. Arch, one of the YouTubers, Arch, actually has a different take on this, but I'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah. Well, Nick Dragotta is the artist who was East of West with Jonathan Hickman. And I thought, okay, I'll give this a look. I was late to the party, so I got issue 1 and read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's a lot more violent and a lot younger than previous incarnations, but again, he doesn't kill anyone. And I'm taken with this, so I will see how it goes for the first story arc. You were going to say something about?
Yeah, funnily enough, I actually caught an Arch video on this, and it's just like, you can sort of see that the social justice leanings of whoever's writing this, because
Scott
it's
Snyder.
like, it's like, oh, well, all the bad guys are rich and in suits, and Batman's now working class, so it's completely okay for Batman to brutally, he doesn't kill anyone, but he does maim the shit out of them.
Yes, he
right?
does.
Oh, you can dunk them acid and shit and rada. So there's just kind of whoever's writing it, you can see their politics that comes through in the writing.
It is Scott Snyder, and I have picked up on that, but again, it is still a good read.
Yeah, and again, it's entirely personal taste.
I'll give it a chance. However, 3 issues so far. For issue 1, there were 32 different variants. 6 for issue 2, and so far 4 for issue 3. Because of course, obviously, as Jim Lee's mostly in charge of DC, he contributes a couple of them, and they're nice. But it's again, come on, guys, seriously, do you really need that many variants?
And
Yeah, and
this
again,
is
it
why
smacks
comic
of
stores
yeah.
are dying because of this shit. It's like even when you have a successful comic, you're still lumping them with stuff they can't sell because only the popular covers are going to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest is going to sit there, despite the fact that the book's actually, succeeding.
Mm.
Yeah, and the other thing is it just smacks of ego. Oh, these are going to become
Oh.
collector's editions. No, they're not. Again,
Yeah.
variant covers is back from the day where it's a legacy artifact of, oh, well, these are going to become collector's editions and people are going to buy them because they're going to think they're going to be worth even more money in the future. No, with that many that many variants and just everyone doing the variant stuff, it's like variants. It's not a thing.
No.
And also, variants back in the day used to be a case of you maybe get 2, 3, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
they
going through
literally
some
have
of them now.
rare ones that would
Yeah.
only go to certain
Yeah.
stores or in certain states, or just only a certain number were made. That made them collectible. This is a case of, okay, 32 of these different covers and the same amount of every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you've got the other aspects of the Absolute Universe, Wonder Woman, where she's from hell and not wherever they were.
Themyscira.
That's it. And then you've got Absolute Superman, where he lands on Earth but isn't found by the Kents, I think it is. That one I was curious about, but then I found out the writer's Jason Aaron, so I thought, I think I'll skip that. Yeah. And then the other one to talk about with DC, purely for a comedic point of view, is Alan Scott Green Lantern. Now, the only reason I became aware of this was because the fuss the writer kicked up on Twitter, Tim Sheridan, because in this book, well, Alan Scott is gay. And at one point, he's even cruising the docks looking for a piece of ass, according to, I forget who it was that talked about this. And
It says a lot about the writer, doesn't it? Like,
well,
predicting much.
And he made this video attacking Comicsgate, saying, back this book, buy these variant covers, the proceeds go to various charities or something like that, and keep the Comicsgate trolls under the bridge where they belong. And those that responded didn't even know what was going on. And then when the series didn't go so well, Tim Sheridan just blocked people en masse, and it sort of faded from memory. It was such a bizarre thing.
It was also apparently, from those few I heard about who read it was fundamentally a terrible comic that just grossed them out in a lot of respects. It's the case of, okay, fine, be gay, but do you have to be so, like, especially the whole trolling for a piece of ass thing? It's just like, any respect we're meant to have for this character, every time it starts to build, you can completely shoot, like, killing it again and again and again. It's like, what am I supposed to respect about this guy in the end? He's a horrible, horrible, narcissistic asshole who, he's gay, but he's also done things to, I can't remember what it was, but he did something to basically cause problems for another guy who I think he got hurt or got killed because of his bullshittery. And there was no real, oh, geez, what did I do? Like, oh, well, moving on, chasing more ass. Did I say I'm gay? I'm gay. By the way, I'm gay. I'm like, okay, you're meant to be a superhero?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
You're not being very heroic. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the whole point. It's in the name, guys. It's a superhero comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just being a narcissistic, person who's just more interested in chasing butt, again, people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
But that says more about the writer than every. Yeah, the fact that the writer thought that was a good person. Yeah, it's just like, it's
the whole thing just thinks of projection, and also as a case of, we're meant to see this guy as heroic, where I've yet to see anything he does as heroic. He actually does the opposite, especially, I think it was someone he worked with or something. He ended up tossing under the bus to save his own ass, and the guy ended up, like, getting horribly hurt or killed or something to drive attention away from himself. I'm like, you're meant to be a hero. You're meant to have earned the Green Lantern because you're so heroic?
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. But again,
It also speaks to the fact that this got okayed by the editors. Again, it's not like these guys put this stuff out there, sight unseen. It's the fact that editors reviewed this. Everyone went, "Yep, this is a good thing. We're going to put this out there for sale," right? And no one saw a problem. That
And
tells
this
you
is-
more about DC than anything else.
Yeah, and this is also kind of stuff. It's like I'd expect this kind of writing and this kind of thing, and like complete lack of sense of what makes a hero and what like this sort of stuff. I'd expect that from a fan fiction writer, not an actual published book.
Yeah, it's again, it was surprising
again-
and weird.
And it's like, but then again, it's like I've come across fan fiction writers, like one guy who even got a job writing Transformers comics for several years because they actually understood how heroes work and actually
Well-
understood the lore and everything to the point they got hired. Versus these guys, and like there's actually fan fiction writers out there who've got a better grasp on heroes and the universes these characters
Yeah.
are from and whatnot than you guys do.
Yeah, Thomas Tuke is right. Yes, we did cover this nutter in the Bargain Bin show back in the day, and it was funny then, and it's still funny now. To conclude this one, though, 6-issue series, 14 variants spread throughout, which, wow.
So
Right.
again, more bloat for these comic book stores to never get rid of, and it's no wonder there's hardly any of them left now.
Now, on to Image, and a lot more positive for reasons we're about to see. So start off with Void Rivals, which was the launch of what's going to be known as the Energon universe. This was an intriguing start because you've got two aliens of different races crash on a planet together. Kind of remind me of Enemy Mine a little. And in it, they find Jetfire, who has crash landed there, but then he shoots off after they've awakened him. And this one, it's a damn good story. It's very space opera with appearances from the other Transformers throughout, including Springer and Hot Rod. Written by Robert Kirkman, as you can see. And so far it has sold very well. And like I said, has kicked off the Energon universe. The downside, 17 variants for issue 1 and an average of 4 variants for every other issue. One variant cover, I'll see if I can find it quickly while we talk, was where was it? On eBay, funny enough, because it was a 1 in 100 variant cover by Daniel Warren Johnson, who would go on to draw Transformers, and it retailed for about $100 because of how tough they were to get. And I'm just seeing if I can find the one on eBay that I came across a little while ago.
See, that makes sense for variants, having the whole, okay, have your variants, but tightly limit how many, and you also have to have 1 or 2 in there that are a case of like that, like 1 in 100, 1 in 200. That actually makes a collection item.
Yes, it does.
If the comic is good.
I'm just
when you're just basically spamming like 30 freaking covers for like 1 issue, and like, no one's collecting that shit, especially if the comic itself is shit.
Yeah. So I found the one that piss off, leave it alone. All right. So I found the one in question that was on eBay because people like to CGC stuff. And this one in particular was signed by Daniel Warren Johnson. He's done a little sketch of Jetfire on the front. And it was a 9.9 grade, which is the highest I've seen for a while. I'm just going to share the screen now. But does anyone want to have a guess of what it's the guy's trying to sell it for?
Over 9,000.
All right. This is it here.
Yeah, again. Yeah, tell him he's dreaming.
Well, I saw it earlier in the year, and he'd cut the price in half as part of the deal. And it's, well, as you can see, it's still here.
Yeah, no, tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah.
There's an Australian movie from Review there. Nah, just tell him he's dreaming.
Yeah. So that's a good series, and it's off to a good start, and the read is entertaining. So we'll see how that goes. But now, obviously, on to this has been one of my favorites. It did kick off at the end of 2023, so that's why I'm including it here. But this is the ongoing Transformers series from Image Skybound, which was the first 6 issues were written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. And it's absolutely fantastic. He's contracted to write up to issue 24, I believe it is, and another artist has taken over since from issue 7 onwards. Equally good art. George Corona, I think the guy's name is. But it is an absolute fantastic start to the series because it retells the story of the Ark ship crashing onto Earth, but a lot more violent. There's a big scuffle when the Transformers awaken on the ship. Megatron's not there, but Prime is fighting Soundwave and Starscream. And he German suplexes Starscream, which is absolutely fantastic, and escapes with Spike and Carly, who have found him. Starscream would then go on a little rampage, and he grabs one human and literally squeezes him to death in his hand. Prime intervenes in another fight and rams Thundercracker in truck form. And the first story arc ends with such a poignant, how do you put it, kick in the balls with the way it ends. It's one of the best things I've read for a long time. And maybe that's in part because I'm an old school Transformers nerd, but the writing was fantastic.
Man, how can you call yourself a Transformers fan if you don't have the RPG game? We do.
Shut up.
Oh, and again, but this is what people want. People want good writing, you know. And again, and this is it seems like, you know, the Transformers stuff is sort of more aimed at, you know, young adults, right? It's not as kiddie stuff anymore. It's like, no, we're aiming this at adults, you know, or you know, late teen, early adults or adults. So yeah, if they're going that, then yeah.
Well, there's still a kiddie factor, but I find the kiddie factor is more for the shows than it is for the comics.
Yeah,
the shows are for the kids, and the comics, as it has been for a long while on and off, are more for the adult, like older teens, adults, and the older adults who grew up with them. Generally, as far as like their level of button pushing and line crossing, they tend to go towards.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you can probably guess what I'm going to say here. But there were variant covers as well with this.
Of course.
A little game here. Does anyone have a wild guess as to how many variants issue 1 had?
Well, probably about 20.
I'd say 20 plus.
46.
Yep.
For issue 1. An average of 4 variants for every other comic since. I'll be honest, I have one of the variants of issue 1, which was it cost me $7.99 store, and it's a great one. And I also have one literally that's signed by Peter Cullen, who, for those who don't know, was Optimus Prime in the voice of Optimus Prime, and it's probably my holy grail of collections that I've got. And yeah, it sits happily on my desk. So there's my little gloat for a moment. But yeah, Transformers, it was a damn good read, and I would say to anyone who hasn't read it, try the first part, trade paperback, because you can get it now, and see what you think. And then to the other comic launched through Skybound, because they have these rights as well, G.I. Joe. Not one I've read yet, but I've heard good things about it. And they took over, I believe, from IDW, yeah, because
IDW's gone, lost the rights to it because they were doing woke stuff with it.
They were doing stupid stuff with it, weren't they?
Did I stutter?
And doing everything that was the antithesis of everything that is G.I. Joe, especially with the characters.
Yeah, because the one thing that people remember from the IDW G.I. Joe was that they turned Roadblock from a large, muscular black man to a small, fat black woman. And people were going, no way would any military organization allow that person in. But the writer, I think Aubrey Citizen, the guy's name was, he was incredibly woke and got his way for a while until I think he was fired in the end. There have been prelude comics before the G.I. Joe series started from other characters, and the one that got the most attention was Scarlet, because apparently they've written her as a lesbian, of which she wasn't previously.
Oh, even I know that.
Yep. So make of that what you will. 2 issues so far in this series. 39 variants for issue 1 and 6 for issue 2 so far that I'm aware of. So Image helping to blow the variants up for the market, which again was a shame, but well, I suppose it's just going to be a regular thing now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then to cover this one, you're going to laugh, but IDW have been doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Written by Jason Aaron, so I stayed well away from it. Although the art based on this picture here does look pretty decent. 5 issues so far, and I had to double check this to make sure I wasn't wrong. In fact, while we're talking, I'll bring it up. But does anyone want to have a guess as to how many variants are spread across the
probably
5
again about
issues so far?
40 something.
Peter?
50 something.
Well, I'm just bringing it up on my phone while we talk, but I had to double check it before I recorded it. But
Sorry, that's 3 different artists as well with that the thing. And the irony is, like, Turtles was about the only thing that's been keeping IDW afloat as such, because it's been only sort of on and off consistent moneymaker.
mhm.
But even then, this is like, even when it's been a hit, it's never brought enough money to keep them from being constantly in debt and going deeper. Because
Yeah.
everything else fucks it up so bad that any profits they make are non-existent.
Mhm. Okay, so 5 issues so far. 353 variant covers.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And
Yeah,
no wonder why they're
there's-
going deeper and deeper in debt on a yearly basis to the point that I think they're creeping towards like 500 million, some ridiculous in debt.
Yeah. Now,
again, there's IDW's management all over it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So the retailer exclusive covers, black and white. There's again, this is from the Comic Book Realm website. So if I'm wrong in some way, I'd love to someone contact me, tell me. But I'm looking at it now on my phone, and a lot of these covers are listed at 0 value, which I find peculiar.
No, I don't.
So if you
There's
flood
so
it,
many of them. It's just like, yeah, who cares? Yeah.
Mm.
you flood it. It's a case of you flood it so much, everything becomes worth nothing.
Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that was worth talking about with that one. Right. So the final 2 to talk about, and this one, I'm actually buying this series because, again, those that know me know I'm a fan. Is of course the Terminator series from Dynamite, which they launched shortly after the crowdfunder, which we talked about earlier. It got off to an intriguing start, a single issue story to get things going, and then a 2-parter on a Terminator in the Vietnam War. The art is not fantastic, and the story is okay at best. I'm probably going to drop it. I'll be honest with you, because it's just not thrilling enough for me to continue buying it. 3 issues so far, as I said. 25 variants for issue 1, 22 for issue 2, and 18 for issue 3. One of the variants of issue 1 is a metal cover that goes for around $100 retail price.
Yeah, again,
Yeah. See, I can forgive meh art if there's a really good story attached.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's really meh art and you kind of got a okay story, no, sorry. Yeah.
So that, like I said, it's okay, but I'm not going to continue with it because it just isn't that interesting.
Yeah.
So,
and as the art's not there as well, it's a case of
mm-hmm. Right. And then our final one to mention is Thundercats, also by Dynamite, again having gotten the rights to it. I read issue 1, and I don't remember a thing about it. And I chose not to reread it for this stream because I wanted to see if I could remember something. And no, I can't. 11 issues so far, so it's selling quite well. Does anyone want to have a guess on the amount of variants spread throughout this series?
Something fucking
Probably I'd say about
ridiculous.
40.
Peter?
Something ridiculous. And again, unearned.
416 variants.
Oh, for crying out loud. Why? Again,
Yeah.
why? Why?
Yeah,
Now-
it's like when you go into that level, then it's a case of then none of even if you do a 1 in whatever else, like how many copies, like say 1 in 100, they're worthless because there's so much glut.
Mm-hmm. So I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, I tried the issue, just thought meh, and I haven't bothered with it since. So it leads us to the debate to finish this with. Now, there were 2 themes running through these releases we talked about. Can you name what the 2 of them are?
Bad management and just rehashing old stuff. Like it's so much of this stuff is just trading on nostalgia. As far as I can say, yeah.
So, well, I'll give you 1 out of 2 because one is obviously old stuff brought back,
Mm.
and the other one is variant covers and the stupid amounts of them. Buyers like myself, I'm very, very picky about what I get now. And I don't usually go near variant covers unless I look and think, you know what, I like that. But it's not often that I will buy one.
And in the market now that exists now for comics, there is no market for these stupid numbers of fucking variants. They're hard, like even successful comics are hardly selling at anything like pre the turn of the century. It's because it's like you had your opportunities to bring in new readers, and that what the movies have had last 20 odd years, and they've failed at every single fucking point. So there's no one there going to these shops perusing, going, I feel like something new. What's out now? Let's have a squiz and see if I can pick up something new to start reading to add to my list. And those who exist, they're basically slowly tightening their belt, cutting out till they basically go to the point of like, there is nothing for me worth walking into the shop for anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to share this one of the Transformers variant that I have. So that's it there, of 1 in 10 variant cover, Orlando Aracena. And I got it because it was, again, that's still a good price, £8. But I look at this was a beautiful cover. And I bought it because it was on display and I obviously liked it. But again, it's given the world we're in now where everyone is keeping their wallets very tight unless it's something that really appeals to them. I have my concerns that the comic industry in particular is going to suffer because
it is. It's not. It's going to. It is. It has been, and it will continue to, because variant covers used to be only for special occasion, really special issues where something big was happening. So you had your variants because everyone wanted a bit of something because that was that big special arc that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not any fucking more.
But also, yeah, a lot of this stuff is rehashed old things. I mean, granted, Void Rivals, which to talk about, was kind of new, but it takes place in the Transformers universe. So it's a lot of old stuff being brought back or altered, like we talked about with the Ultimates or the Absolutes. But
to be fair, that pretty much is Transformers. It's taking existing characters and spinning up a new story around them with slight variants to their personalities and whatnot, while sticking to certain key points about them. That's been its whole thing the whole time. But it's cases that's fine, well to do, but you got to do it well.
Well, but even the DC Absolute stuff is just rehashing old shit. Like the Superman side, they're rehashing Red Sun, right? The whole what if Superman was found by communists? That story was done years ago, right? So this is what if Wonder Woman, ended up getting raised by Hades instead of Athena? Again, that story's already been done, so this is just rehashing So, and at this point, like, what else can you do? This has always been my complaint with Marvel and DC, is that it's at this point now they're just recycling. You can only compost stuff so many times.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm like, all avenues have been explored and redone and rehashed and explored and I'm like, and the problem is that also they've chased out anyone who could produce anything new, right? And
Or
so the
anything
problem
good.
is, well, because they've had the woke crowd in there and they've let the woke crowd do new things, and it's failed because it was done by wokies. Then management's just going, oh well, they've made the incorrect response of, oh well, people don't want new stuff, they just want the old stuff reheated, and I'm like, no, they want new stuff, they want good new stuff, but you keep hiring people who do terrible new stuff.
Yeah.
And there's always a market for good stories.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just that they're not producing those good stories.
Yeah.
And case in point with those few, like that Spider-Man, like the Ultimate Spider-Man one, and some others where people have latched on it with both hands.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yes, it may be this character and a slight, re-wiggle thing, but it's written well. It's written with the character done right. Yeah. Hence they grab it with both hands. But then it's a case of, as keeps happening, people grab onto it and go, yes, finally something good. And a few issues in, and the person who was originally creating all this is now gone. Yeah. And here we go again.
Yeah, because obviously, as I pointed out, Transformers, Daniel Warren Johnson's off it after 24 issues, and apparently Jonathan Hickman is off Ultimate Spider-Man after 12. So I kind of worry for their fates. But then
you can guarantee that there's going to be some. They're doing this whole thing. They're doing with everything.
Yeah.
With anything that's got ongoing, it's like TV series, comics, books, you name it. Where they're basically, oh, we scored an audience. Wonderful. Now let's bring in what we really want and completely ruin it. Where'd the audience go?
Mm-hmm. But then there is some new stuff coming out, but it just doesn't get a lot of traction or the attention it deserves. And case in point is the Ghost Machine kind of universe that's been set up in Image Comics by a series of creators. Now, some of it's post-apocalyptic, some isn't, but the characters, from what I understand, are intriguing. I didn't do a section on it in the stream because I haven't read it yet, because it's been a hell of a year for me. But you look at some of the
characters. How people meant to find this stuff when the DC and Marvel have basically murked all the comic stores, murked all these potential for new readers who would walk into these stores out of curiosity, initially going after the DC or Marvel stuff, and then decide to have a wander and find this stuff. It's all Marvel and DC's fault.
Yeah.
Because all these stores that have this stuff that would basically put it out on display and have people wander in like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, what's that? I might have a little flick through that, and maybe I'll add that to my list and add that to the list. That's all gone. All these stores being driven to death by Marvel and DC because of all the bullshit they've done and the bloating with all these variants and all these horrible comics that they cannot sell. Thus, they go bankrupt.
Yeah, and you look at some of the talent involved in this Ghost Machine. I mean, Jason Fabok, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Jeff Johns, formerly of DC, Rob Lee, Francis Manapul, Danny Mickey, an inker. I know his work very well. Realistically, it should be getting a lot more attention than what it is. I believe they're selling well, but again, it just kind of gets drowned out in some of the slop that Marvel and DC produce.
Oh, so, it's getting buried by the slop, but also they're in a worse spot. Like with our stream, like regarding games, at least with indie games made by old devs that have gone off and do their own things, or even just new and up and coming, they have more of a chance to get an audience because of the way games work versus comics. And you could have all the best of the best making these new comics that are the best thing you've ever read, the best art, best stories, greatest characters you can latch onto right away and what more. But they're in stores they're going to comic stores that are disappearing, and also there's not the mainstream appeal of comics anymore because the likes of Marvel and DC have killed it for the average person and turned it back into, like, it had a bit time there where it's a case of, okay, so this is not just for the weebs and the nerds and the geeks. Anyone could read these, and it's gone straight back to that now because of how horrible it all is, and this is all full of crap. Why would I, as an average person, even seek this stuff out?
Well, the thing is, and people go because mangering anime exists, right? That's the thing. People have just gone, oh, manga's got all, So again, you could see it in the sales numbers. That's why the DC and Marvel crowd have stopped publishing their sales numbers because, like I said at the beginning, they were getting absolutely mogged by manga, and they still are. So, people, this is the thing. The Western comics industry has pretty much shot itself in the foot because, they had this run of terrible writing and the rest of it. And in the meantime, the rest of the community has just gone, manga is a thing. And it's like you walk into any bookstore, anything that sells comic, look at the manga section versus the Western comic section, and just look at the absolute difference in shelf space.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's another thing.
That tells you what's selling.
Yeah, and that's another thing that sort of unfortunately goes against these guys as well. It's a case of, you're producing great comics, but because of the stigma associated with Western comics, people are just going, ooh, Western comics, I'm going to go towards the manga section instead.
Because I went to a comic shop with my wife in a city called Birmingham, near where I live, and I hadn't been to this comic shop in quite some time. So when I walked through the door, I was quite surprised because literally in front of the entrance inside is the manga section, and you've got 10 ton of books on one side and a load of manga merchandise on the other side.
As it's what sells.
Yeah, and I went upstairs to have a look at the comic section, which, by the way, was downstairs originally in a much larger section and then moved upstairs to a smaller section. There isn't a lot there.
Well, we had the same thing. We went back into a comic shop that we hadn't been to for quite a while. And that was the first thing we noticed is, one, they've moved to a slightly smaller, slightly smaller shop space. But two, you walk in there, it's split across, it's got a ground floor and a basement floor. Ground floor is all the manga, right? And then all the rest of the Western comics are in the basement in a corner.
Oh. Right? It's not really a basement. It's more like open 2 levels, but it's a level that goes down. But even when you go down, you have to go towards the back to have the big section. And even then, majority of it is graphic novels. They really don't. They had only a tiny shelf of and a table, like their previous store, which just had like the long boxes of floppies. But otherwise, it's like I'd say about 70% of the shop was like manga, like various forms of manga,
figurines, anime
stuff, some little bit of like clothing merch, which they only ever had as like two small racks of like jumpers and shirts and whatnot. But still, it's a case of the fact their entire top floor when you walk in is all anime manga, and you have to take that flight of stairs down to even get anywhere near the Western stuff, and that's also where all the TTRPG stuff is as well.
Yeah,
which actually even a bigger section than the Western comics.
But one thing I've noticed that there's a lot of independent comic companies are popping up, and usually online only because stores won't stock their books. And
because there's like combination of won't stock their books because they're not guaranteed to
sell.
Don't
have the room,
but also don't have the room. Plus all these I think last I saw something before 2020 when it was already declining there. Was something like 4,000 or whatever else comic stores, like the notable big long time comic stores in the US. And by the time we come out the other end of this year, I think it was getting closer to like 300 of those. And we're talking ones that were big, notable, been around for decades ones. And there's about 300 of them left.
Yeah. And as you can see,
the ones that were surviving have pivoted hard to manga to keep their heads above water.
Now, obviously, what you're seeing on the screen is Rippaverse. This obviously started up by Eric July and has had numerous successes with crowdfunding. Obviously, with what you're seeing here with Yaira, which I think sold over 1 million. The Horseman, which these two I've backed. And also, of course, ISOM, Alpha Core, and Gooding, whatever that's pronounced as. A very successful company. The books are very good as well. Yaira was a fun read, and so was The Horseman. But what I've noticed with this is the attacks that Eric July and his company had to endure from those in Comicsgate, and it's usually those that haven't gotten their books out on time.
Tall poppy syndrome, and also them basically going, oh shit, he's actually getting shit out of time. Fuck, that's putting even more of a lean on us. Oh shit.
Yeah.
And instead of knuckling down and getting our shit done, wins right now. He's so horrible, man. Like,
Yeah, because for
toddlers.
example, with for example with Yaira, I backed this book and I got it. I think 4 months later. Now, obviously, he does variant covers, as you can see, but I make out 4 here, unless there were
And
others
they're
that.
also optional, and they're stuff you pick yourself versus being sent to a store to fill
Yeah.
up glut up the shelves and not sell.
Yeah. So Yaira was a good read, but it again, they Comicsgate folks, I forget who, a lot of them attacked it for its art, which I didn't have a problem with. Same thing they did with the Horsemen, because there was a panel where they took issue with the guy's fingers, how they've been drawn.
Yeah, that's nitpicking though. That's just them finding an excuse. They're like, haters gonna hate. I'm like, hey guys, maybe if you put out your own stuff and instead of just actually, whining and pointing and going, look, oh my god,
Yeah.
look
Instead
at
of
tiny
actually
little
acting like-
nitpicking detail. Yeah,
instead of
okay.
acting like bitchy little mean girls, how about you take this as an impetus to knuckle the fuck down and get your own shit done, and instead wave it in Eric July's face and like, look at my stuff, look what I'm making. Oh, ignore his. How about mine? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and even then, good luck with that.
And the attacks on Eric July were so bizarre to me because I think they doxed his distribution center. Someone took a photo next to his granddad's grave with a mask on. There was the guy that crashed one of his
again,
signing
it's just
events.
the most stupid and petty bullshit.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah, guys,
This
if
is
you
the kind of shit. It's the kind of shit I expect from basically like having the like stupid little arguments and basically like, oh, he said, she said, oh, we're going against that group level of arguments I expect from fucking a high school. I expect this from fucking hormonal teenagers that are going through those phases of, oh yeah, we're bottling off into groups and we're basically stirring shit and causing fights over the stupidest shit. You're grown fucking adults.
Yep.
Yeah, again, they have become what they, the reason Comicsgate was to get away from the bloody rainbow hair crowd. I'm like, no, you guys have just become everything that you claim to hate. So, yeah,
and
no
more
sympathy
so,
here.
like you're just as bad, if not worse, than those that you claim to basically be ruining everything and hating, and your behavior is so beyond fucking pathetic. You are killing any chances you have of being any form of success because people are going to take one look at your behavior and go, ew, why the fuck would I give someone like that my money?
Yeah, and then you've got Iconic Comics, responsible for the Soul Finder series, as you can see, and Came in America. Came in America, I read issue 1 of, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and as you can see here, gorgeous art. Again, done very well, and the folks involved in it, Timothy Lim, Doug Ernst, who's I think in charge of the whole thing, they have, and Mark Pellegrini, I should point out as well, have all stayed away in large part from the drama, except when they've had to sort of go and defend themselves.
Yeah, but again, if you have to come in and just like crack heads and basically walk in, crack heads, walk out, right? And there's nothing wrong with coming in and legitimately, as much as I want to punch myself for saying this, defending the brand and not being, as I said, not being absolute walkovers, right? If someone's actively lying and slandering, then yes, by all means, come out and crack heads, but not sitting there drama farming. And yeah, look like the Iconic Comic stuff, the art, just looking at it from here, is the art looks gorgeous, right? And really well done. So this is people doing it right, and it's they need to be more sort of out there.
Yeah, and with Came in America,
they're incredibly successful in Japan.
Yep, yes, they are. Came in America blew up in Japan.
Because again, the Japanese have a thing of like, wow, someone's put effort and love into this. Because again, the Japanese have a reputation for being perfectionists.
Yes.
So when they see that even in the West, someone's putting in that much detail and love and genuinely giving a shit about what they're working on, yeah, they will absolutely love it.
Yes, they will. And with Came in America, I looked into this, and every issue, I think, except one, has been released on time. And that was because patches that they'd done, I think it was, for the as one of the perks of backing, were 3 weeks late. But that's it, 3 weeks. compared to 3, 4, or even 5 years that some of the Comicsgate stuff takes to actually release. And in some, in this one case, there's never released.
Yeah, but again, the point is like it was 3 weeks. It's like, oh, yep, there was an error with the printer. We've got a new ETA, and then it was 3 weeks, and it wasn't just 3 weeks and then 3 weeks and then 3 weeks, and it was just like nope, done, and it's out and it's done. So no one's got anything to complain about. Versus all the other mob, it's just like, excuse, and still no delivery.
Yeah,
right.
So this is where the good stuff's coming from, and it's coming out on time. The thing is, with Rippaverse in particular, I wasn't there at the start of it because I'd been burned too badly by the CG stuff to take a look at it. Yaira was what caught my interest. For okay, let's give that a shot because it does look intriguing, and it was a fun read. And so was The Horseman with Iconic Comics. I've read Came in America issue 1, and it was great. So I'm going to have a look at the other stuff in the new year when I've got a bit more cash to play with. But it's the most, well, it catches my attention the most compared to a lot of stuff that I'll see in a comic shop.
Yeah. So, but again, the thing is, all the creative industries, comics, movies, etc., they're all in creative flux at the moment because, things are going to have to change. So, it's a case of support the good stuff and ignore the bad. That's all you can do, right?
And as I've said before, it's just like a rather common thing in Australia. It's just like you must burn down the old growth to allow the new to take root.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't it something like burn the bush to kill the weeds or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, so I think that we'll leave that one there. So this has been us talking about the world of comics in 2024. I appreciate everyone who's listened in. Thanks very much to Peter and Wombat for joining me. And in the next episode, we'll be talking about TV and movies, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with some of those. Yeah. So in the meantime, thanks very much for joining us, and take care until next time. So bye-bye for now.
Bye.